All right.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on Their Fight Story. I am your host, Igdalia. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And if you are returning, thank you so much. Here we have Sean Rockwell. Sean, how are you doing?
I am doing great, Iggy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Congratulations on your 15-year anniversary.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it feels like yesterday some days, and then it feels like it's been about 50. So, yeah, it's phenomenal. So I can't say thank you enough for having me on the show. I apologize to everyone for messing up yesterday and not being able to do it. A lot going on, but excited to be here now. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. Now, let's walk through how this all came about. What made you start Prime Athletics?
It's a great question. So, I'll try to keep it as short as I possibly can because I don't think anyone wants a long story. But basically, to age myself, I entered high school in 1997. And I went to a high school that is predominantly above average or wealthy. My family is not any of that. Our wealth was more in love than it was in finance. But we did what we had to do. Never kind of, my parents never batted an eye getting us whatever we needed. And that year is when Under Armour actually started. So their rash guards came out, and there was not an athlete at Canton High School in 1997 who did not own one, if not two or three, Under Armour shirts. Except they were $55 for the short sleeves. So like they were, think about that too. Like we're talking over a decade ago, and it was still higher than what I would ever charge now. Um, and so, of course, me being a brat, I asked for an Under Armour shirt. I wrestled. I was like, everyone has one. It helps with your wrestling. I need it. I need it. I need it. My mom was like, okay. So my mom went and then realized it was $55. And she was like, we can't do this. I'm sorry. Like, that's a lot of money. And I was like, okay. So my sophomore year, so fast forward, now we're in 1998, 1999, and Walmart had their version. And I use the word version very loosely, but they had their tight t-shirt, if you will. And so their tight t-shirt was $35. So once again, still what I believe to be overpriced. But my mom wanted to do whatever she could to make me happy. She knew how much I loved wrestling. Been doing it since fourth grade. You know what I mean? And so she bought me one and she gave it to me as a gift. It wasn't a birthday or anything, but she gave it to me as a gift. And she's like, I know that you really wanted an Under Armour, but look at, I found this one. They say it's the same thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that was amazing. And
Mhm.
of course now I'm grown up. So I'm not all, I wasn't kind of like, you know, a little whiny baby. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. I love you. And I wore it to practice. And I swear I had to lift it up to let the sweat out. Like it was terrible. But I also couldn't make her feel bad because clearly she loved me enough to go get that
Yeah.
and pay more money than she should. So she learned about a week or two ago when we had this conversation because I knew we were going to have this interview. But I just left it in my wrestling locker. I didn't want to tell anyone about it. But it really made me start thinking. So then when I went to college, I was a business major and I was like, we had marketing and international import, export classes, things like that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to choose Under Armour because I'm just curious about them.
Mhm.
And so I did to find out that Under Armour at the time was every order was above like 30,000 items. And their costs for those items were about $4.12, which I'm assuming today is more like $2.
Mhm.
Um, and I was like, wait, why were they charging so much money? And it really bothered me
Mhm.
because once again, I didn't come from money, but I came from like passion, and it's
Mhm.
like, wait, so you're telling me I didn't get something that could have helped me
Mhm.
uh, because y'all needed to make a legitimate $50 profit per item,
Mhm.
30,000 or more. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I graduated college. I decided to try to do like a wrestling line for Reebok because they're in my hometown. Um, I spent months and months and months building this presentation because I had someone who had an in So they got me the interview.
Mhm.
My interview got delayed by about 2 weeks, and I didn't know why. But I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. It gives me more time. So I even came up with more ideas. Like I
Mhm.
love ideas. Don't love doing things, but I love ideas. And I think you know that about me. So I'm like, all right, cool. No, the reason that my interview got delayed was because they just merged with Adidas, and Adidas already owned Brute, which is a wrestling company. So Reebok
Mhm.
put in. It was this whole thing, and there was a parent on the wrestling team at this point. I coached wrestling, and I coached the high school wrestling team, and there was a parent. She was like, "Your presentation looks amazing. You know what you're talking about. You've done all this research. Screw them. Do it yourself." I was like, "Yeah, you can't just jump in and do it yourself." And she goes, "Why?" And I was like, "You can't. There's, Adidas, there's Nike. Like, I can't just do that." And she goes, "Your choice. Let me know if you want to." And so she became a silent partner, and she really pushed me, and my mom really pushed me. My dad tried understanding why this was more important than getting a real career. At the moment, I got a real career pretty soon after that. And then my girlfriend, who is now my wife, and I've been with her literally that long, and she understood late nights. And I mean, I wasn't getting sleep. I was like, all right, screw it, I'm going to do this. And
Mhm.
we incorporated October 1st, 2008. And kind of the rest is history. Our first show was at Combat Zone. David George welcomed us with open arms, which is somebody that I will have so much respect
Mhm.
the day I die for. For those who don't know, David George, he is a legend when it comes to mixed martial arts in the Northeast. Combat Zone MMA, now owned by Calvin Cater.
Mhm.
Back then, Calvin was a fighter that I was watching and loving. So it's really funny just to see
Mhm.
time move forward. And I believe I spoke with Ed Carr not too long ago, and we gave every fighter a pair of gloves and like a backpack, like a crossbody backpack.
Mhm.
They became so popular now. And Ed was like, "Yeah, I still have that bag. I love that bag." Like that was our deal, and we fulfilled it with every single person that was on the card, and we just grew from there and loved it. So that is the beginning. And now I will stop talking and let you do your job. Sorry.
From the beginning, and remember we talked a little bit before that the reason you've made it 15 years is because of your wife. And now I see that she was with you even before that. So it's
Yeah,
true.
no, I uh, I give everything. Obviously, I start, and I know that sound as corny as this is going to come off, and I know it will. I give all glory to God.
Mhm.
I'm very based off a lot of personal issues that I've dealt with in my life. I'm not going to say uh, Bible banger or any like, but I do. I believe in afterlife. I believe in Jesus Christ, and I really do think that every obstacle that has ever been put in my way was there just for me to figure out either a way around or a way through. Generally, it's a way through, and that is difficult. But yeah, and I have luckily never had to face an obstacle alone. Between my mom, I mean, my little brother has always been there. My best friend Dave, who lives in Florida now, who also jumped into Prime
Mhm.
without even me asking. He's like, "All right, what are we doing? Let's do
Mhm.
this." Started training when I decided to fight professionally. He was like, "All right, me too. Let's go."
Mhm.
And literally, not even a week before that, we were training for food competitions, yeah, eating competitions.
Mhm. Wait,
That
what? So you're doing food competition and fighting?
Well, I was training for food competitions. I can do a whole package of double stuffed Oreos in a 16-ounce glass of milk, minute 20, minute 21, give or take. That's what we were training for. We just thought it was
Oh.
the coolest thing in the world. And that all changed at a CFX event where, something happened, and, it's in the past, but comments were made that were completely inappropriate. And once again, I promise you that if there are any questions that come in, I will be transparent. So at this moment, I'm not going to use names or say anything, but if the questions come in, I'll rip the Band-Aid off and I will.
So what was it? What was the comment?
Uh, Basically, because I had my wife and her friends helping me, There was a secondary brand owner who decided to call them certain names. Hold on one second. Hi, baby girl. My beautiful daughter, who should be asleep an hour ago, came downstairs. Lovey, what's up? I miss you too. Daddy is live though, so I love you. Why don't you go into bed and I'll come up once this is over, I promise. Okay? All right. I love you. Yep, you want more airtime?
Have a great night.
She loves her airtime. And the funny thing is, mommy is watching this, so good luck going upstairs, sweetheart. Yes. So yeah, there was an owner of another rival, and I use the word rival because everyone thought that's how the world worked.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was like a reality show, and a rival company made comments about the people that were working my booth. Obviously, not realizing that one of them was my girlfriend, who at that time I already planned my engagement and had been with her for 5 years at that point, 6 years at that point. So like, it was an inappropriate comment. It was just wrong, to be honest. And I got pissed.
So were you upset?
I was upset. I got very angry, and I've worked on my anger, but I was very angry at that moment. And so I went to the promoter, who at the time was Linda Shields and Gary Foreman of CFX, because that's where we were. And I was like, hey, I want to fight. And they're like, what? And I was like, yep, I want to fight pro, and this is who I want to fight. I want to fight Fernando Rivera. And they're like, Fernando's got like 11 pro fights. You've never fought before. And I was like, yep, cool. I want to fight on the next card. I want to fight him. And I will do it at whatever weight he wants me to do it. And at the time I was walking around at like 230. So he was like, well, I want to fight at 190. And I was like, fine. 2 months, fine. I'll fight you at 190. Don't worry about it. And everyone's like, oh, you can't make the weight, blah, blah. I went training at Lozon's, and I thank them today as much as I could then. Chuck Coates, Steele O'Neill, Lee Bean, John Howard, all of them jumped in my corner to help me. Dave Irving, who I mentioned earlier, was like, you know what, I'll fight him as an amateur. We'll both be on this card. Let's do this. Like trained with me every day. I didn't have the flexibility. I had the flexibility then that I don't have now without a family and stuff. But yeah, 2 months of training and everything, and no one knew anything about me. And I was that angry. And all of a sudden the night got late. It was in August of 2009. 2009. I was engaged at that time. And, I'm in the back. I'm psyching myself up. My dad just passed away a few months prior to this. So I'm like, let's do this. And they came up to me and they're like, listen, weather's not great out there, because they didn't know what to do. It was outdoors. It was it was the first show at Campanelli Stadium. They're like, you'll pretty much be the main event because no one else wants to go on because the mat's that slippery, but it's up to you. And I was like, oh no, fuck, we got to do, excuse my language. I don't like to swear. But I was like, oh no, we're doing this. I was like, I don't believe I'm going to have the confidence to pretend to do this again another time if I don't do it right now. And my wife, funny story, right before I never tell someone when you're training, hey, I'm proposing tomorrow. I was like, guys, can we just be careful? I'm proposing to my girlfriend tomorrow. Yeah, it was the first time I came home. We lived together. The first time I came home with any bruises, and it was all my eye, my nose. And she's like, oh my gosh, because she'd never seen a bruise. Yeah, that was my mistake. I shouldn't have told them. A little makeup helped out a lot. But yeah, I proposed to her the next day. She had my back, honestly, 100%. I probably had maybe 6 people who thought I was going to win. Out of, I think the show had like almost 10,000 people there. Even like my mother didn't think I was going to win. And then when I did, my mother actually thought it was staged, like how WWE was. Like, oh yeah, he lets you win. I was like, no one lets you punch him in the face. Highlight of that part, I did win 4 minutes, 24 seconds in the first. Referee.
How'd you win?
That goes out to my friend Kevin the ref. because he was my referee and I love Kevin McDonald. Yeah, so I took the fight, and I also wanted to do it because I wanted to, I didn't want to just have a clothing line. I wanted to know what it took. I didn't want to come out with gear. I want to know what it took. So yeah, she has been my ride or die. She is the only one who believed in me, except for a very small part. I had her as part of my walkout, and luckily I didn't turn around because she started crying. And did not actually follow the walkout, but I had everyone. I had Danny Lozon, I had Doomsday, I had Jorge Rivera. Like literally, I had. It reminded me of like those old school walkouts where like boxers walked out with 45 different people.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. And it was surreal. I remember just looking around. And even when Kevin pulled me off for the win, I was like, wait, what? I got more hurt after that because Lee Bean rushed the cage, him and my brother, literally once they unlocked the cage, because I'm now walking around the cage like, wait, did I won. No, I didn't. No. Wait, what? All of a sudden I turn and I see Lee Bean, my brother, who is not small, and I see Chuck O'Neill literally running right at me, and they throw me into the cage. And yeah, my entire back all messed up. That was the result of my injuries in this fight, was my win. But yeah, so I did it, and I had, I drove to Hooksett, trained with Ed Carr, and I can't thank him enough. Like, I went everywhere. I trained anywhere anyone was willing to welcome me. I went. Did not care. I went, and I sold a lot of tickets. And I probably believe that a majority of them were there looking forward to see me get my ass beat. Because I had a lot of wrestlers that I was coaching at the time who bought tickets, them and their parents, and they're like, here we go. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Relax. I'm hard on you every day. And then I won, and the next practice, there was very little talk, and it was funny. But yeah, I mean, anything can happen. Not that Fernando's record is great, but once again, I've never fought before, professionally, amateurly, anything. And that was before the commissions. So it was kind of cool that I Google my name and it shows that I have a professional MMA win. I'm undefeated. I like to put that out to people. I remember talking with Doomsday, John Howard, who is still a really close friend of mine. Yeah. He said something to me and I was like, dude, I'm just trying to help. As the only undefeated fighter here, I feel like I have something to offer. I did not get in and help spar at that moment. I assumed I was just watch. Most kind of wrote that check. But yeah, so that is a lot of it. But yeah, we started with just talking about my wife. But yeah, ride or die. She was the only one that really, people believed in me, my cousin, my brothers, and clearly Lee Bean believed in me. And he was the first fighter we signed to sponsor as a brand. And
which one?
Lee Bean.
Okay.
And I've known him just because of wrestling. We're a tight community. And when we came out with our brand, and we didn't have much in the beginning, just a couple of shirts, some gloves, I wanted to sponsor what I believe to be the best fighter there is at that time. And I will not fight anybody anymore. I'm 40. I'm way too old for that. But I will argue with anybody that Lee Bean was and is the man, no matter what. He was the first fighter I wanted to manage. Like I chose. I'm sure I could have paid anybody and given anybody gear at that time, because 2008, regionally, you weren't making anything. So it was like I probably had my pick of the litter, but I wanted Lee, and luckily he believed in what we believed in. So we sponsored Lee. So that was our first fighter we ever officially sponsored, which is awesome.
Yeah, and that's important. Like you both need to believe in each other. Because if you're with somebody that doesn't believe in you, or vice versa, the likelihood that it's going to succeed is going to be very minimal, because you need that support.
Absolutely. And I even took on more of a managerial role for him as well, not fight wise, but like I found sponsors, so that way he didn't have to pay for shirts, and neither did I. But I found sponsors. We did events. we did a ton, and we did it together. And I explained to him, the only thing that matters to me is, especially at the time, being a wrestling coach and graduating a military school, which I wasn't qualified my junior year. I was disqualified from being in the military, which changed everything as well. So, like I said, God has a plan. You just don't know what it is. And I told him, I was like, as long as you believe in my core values, then we'll be fine. And he's like, what's your core values? I was like, first God, then family. And that's it. I want role models. I don't want someone beating up somebody and then smoking a cigarette in a parking lot. I want to be able to say, you need someone to come to your middle school to talk to your kids. Here are my fighters. Pick out which one you want. All of them are role models. Like, that is it. Like, it's just kind of, and now having my own child, it's the same thing. She knows our fighters, kind of like Darren Mima, the shirt I'm wearing underneath, which I'm sure we will discuss. But she knows him as Uncle Darren. She has his shirts. She wears them. She roots him on whenever there's a fight. Like, it's an environment that I believe in cultivating, and it's because of wrestling. So,
yeah, that's the base. What are your different divisions?
So I love the question. So in 08, we started the brand, and we went hot and heavy, and we sold out of things. Luckily back then, vendors at shows was a common thing. Now it's kind of not really, but probably because we're all old. So it's not really something easy to do. But we would sell out of things within two or three shows. We would be completely sold out. And I would put all the money right back into the company, never paid myself anything. I would pay some employees or, give them a free shirt, depending on the day or who they were, if it was family. And we did that. And then in 2010, I witnessed something, and I will not use names on this one, no matter who asked the question, but I witnessed something that really bothered me. And it just, once again, core values, right? I witnessed a coach talking to a matchmaker, and the matchmaker offered him X amount of dollars for his fighter. And the coach goes, so let's just pretend it was 8 and 8, right? The coach goes, what if I take 5 and 5? And the matchmaker goes, sure, why? And he goes, if I do that, can you put these other 3 guys on, 2 amateurs and another pro? Basically, let's break in half what you offered me for him, so I can add a second pro and my 2 amateurs to your card. And the matchmaker's like, sure, why not? And it was that moment where I realized that, like, we all realize the world is corrupt, but it was that moment where I realized, as a coach, he didn't do anything wrong legally, but morally, you should be looking out for each of your fighters individually. And by doing that, you did what a coach should do. And I hold nothing against coaches, because you have a squad of people, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit here and say, did he do something right or wrong? But it did make me realize that this happens more often than not. And the athletes need an advocate. And once again, it doesn't matter if you're making $300 a show. You still deserve to you should know your own worth, and you should be getting your worth. And you shouldn't have somebody deciding that for you. You know what I mean? So it was that moment that I decided, you know what, we're expanding, and we're going to open up a management company. I have background in management already. I have a degree in it. I was like, we're doing it. I took some online courses as well, just to really understand things. And I went to every event for the brand, but I watched every fight, and I videotaped every fight. And of course, it wasn't really digital back in 2010, but in 2010. But I recorded fights. I had DVDs. I had pictures. I had other people there watching fights of people I wanted. And there was one fighter that stuck out, kind of like Lee Bean did when it came to like sponsorship, and it was Darren Mima. And I was like, and at the time, Darren was only 2-0, and I was like, this kid's a world champion. And everyone's like, eh. And I was like, I don't care what you say, 125 or not, which at that time, as we all know, the UFC didn't even have the weight class. And like, I don't care what he weighs. I don't care what the UFC has. This kid is going to be something. And, I had kind of a board of directors. We got a CFO at that point, and Northeast Financial Strategies is the name of the company in Rentham, Mass. Jeff is amazing for anyone looking for taxes or anything else. But we all talked about it, and they're like, listen, we've trusted you this far, we'll trust you that far. And I reached out to Darren. He literally, we didn't even meet at the event because, he won and he left because he had to drive all the way back to New York, which was like a 5.5 hour drive because he was upstate. So literally he won, got his pay, and they left. Like they weren't hanging around. I didn't get to shake his hand or introduce myself. And I was like, okay. So I reached out to the coaches, I reached out to him. I offered to go up, like anything, or I guess down from New York, but I offered anything I could. And he was like, well, what are you bringing to the table? And I was like, loyalty. I was like, I can't offer anything else because I don't have any other clients. So I can't tell you where I stand. What I will tell you is that I will under promise and over deliver everything. And as we can tell, it's 2023. Darren has been out of the game for about 3 years. He suffered a really bad losing streak before he stepped away. That losing streak was because of, honestly, himself. And I don't say that if Darren is watching or when Darren does watch, that is not a shot against him. He had a lot going on personally in his life, and collecting a paycheck and not getting hurt, that was kind of like that was the goal at that point.
Yeah.
But he also was fighting in Chechnya. He was fighting in Russia. He was beating number one prospects coming out of Romania. Like, he beat Merab, who everyone knows is ranked 3rd right now at bantamweight in the UFC. Like, he beat him, and he beat him bad at a higher weight class before Merab went there. He fought Tony Gravely for CES on 9 days' notice up at 135. And anyone that watches that fight, and yeah, Darren lost, but anyone that watches that fight, watch the first minute 30 of that fight because Darren almost finished him. That's how good Darren is. And now he's training, he's focused, and he got called out, whether it's to be a stepping stone because he has a decent name. I mean, he was literally top 14 flyweights in the world, according to Fight Matrix at one point. So he got called out, and I was like, you know what? You wanted this swan song. You wanted to go out on your terms, not the way you did. Let's do this. And he has been in camp since we said it. Like, before the contract was signed, he jumped into camp. He is there every day, twice a day, going to his job with his family, his daughters, his son, his wife. I mean, I knew what he was. So this might be the swan song where he finishes his career the right way, or this is the first fight of his last run, and we give it everything we have. Who knows? But it'll be this fight, November 11th for NEF. But like I was saying, tangents. I do this all the time. I'm sorry. This is why I usually have Amanda in the room, and she'll snap at me and tell me. So I'll need you to help me with that one, Eggs. But hey, focus.
And I'll go like that so you think it's Amanda in the background, like, oh, gotta go.
You both are lovely Hispanic women who tell me what to do. So I mean, there's not much difference there. But yeah, so we signed Darren, and then we changed everything with Darren, and it was funny because he trusted us so much. I had him coming up here, training with Lee Bean and others in wrestling, training with John Doomsday, training with Steve Walker, Julio Pena, and Muay Thai. Like, I would bring him up. He'd stay at my house for 4 days, and it would be nonstop. I took work off, and it would be 4 days where we would be driving from one gym, and your rest period was until we got to the next gym. That was it. It was class. And he, we had some scuffles. Me being 230 and him being 130, and me wrestling against him because I would just jump in to wrestle against him, and we would have some issues, but he never wavered. You know what I mean? And that's what I look for. And we've had fighters come and go, and I hold no regret or remorse against any of them. You do what's best for you, but I also think what we've done in now 13 years as a management organization firm. We brought Chip Mirazapalad to Lion Fight. We got him a world title fight. We got him defending that world title, I want to say, 5 times. We got him to the UK where he won that title. Steve Walker, undefeated world champion. Julio Pena finished his career with one of only 3 Muay Thai fights that was on ESPN's top 10 highlights of the week. And that was his spinning elbow that shattered the orbital bone. It was beautiful, not for the opponent. And Tim is a tough kid, but Julio went out undefeated and retired and had a career. But like we have a lot of fighters like that. Pedro Gonzalez, still under contract, just can't fight. Lindsay Damsel Van Zant signed with us. And on the same night she signed with us, she also signed her Invicta contract, fought for Invicta, #1 contender 3 times, new contracts. She sadly isn't with us anymore, but all I want to see is her do great. You know what I mean? And that's how I feel for everyone. Kerry Kennison, Nick Alley. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
What we have done is proven, time and time again. It's team. It's a teamwork. And you have to do it with the coaches. A lot of coaches almost kind of get in a weird position where they think it's us versus them. And it's like, dude, I'm just going to get you the best deal possible. You tell me if you want the fight. But we have to be a team. And that's why we've lost a lot of people due to some medical issues I had that I really couldn't step up and help do my job. And I don't hold anything against them. A couple of people who decided, you know what, fighting is not really what I want right now. I've lost the passion. I'm like, that's cool. You're still under contract, but if you got the passion back, we're here. And if not, we're here. And if you need someone to talk to, we're here always. And we do. I talk to those fighters all the time and love them like their family, And so it's been awesome. And we just signed Jojo Gonzalez, Baltazar Joel Gonzalez out of FAA. 2-0 as an amateur, and it might sound weird to sign an amateur, but I've known him since he won his. It was the second time he was a national All-American wrestler from a Division II college, AIC, under Coach Rich Hassenfuss. That's when I started knowing him and talking to him. Like I knew what this kid could do, and he's already proven it twice, and he's going to prove it again October 20th for CES at Foxwoods, which I'm sure you'll be at, and it's going to be awesome. So, yeah. So we have that division very quickly because we're now hitting the 30-minute mark, and that's my fault. And who knows how much people really watch the whole video or not. So thank you if you're still watching. But yeah, so we have the brand, we have the management firm, we have Prime for Gold, which is a camps and seminars division. We have brought in Olympians like Ben Ashik. We have brought in Bubba Jenkins. We have brought in Kyle Dake, who is the only 4-time Division I national wrestling champion in 4 different weight classes. He is awesome. We brought him in. We keep it down to 70 people for these camps and clinics. And we only allow 50 spots to be sold. The other 20 spots are considered sponsorships. So kids without the means to pay to come, they're allowed to come for free. And I send that out to all the coaches, and they let me know who it is, because that's what coaches like Jay Weiss, who's the head coach for Harvard. I didn't have the money when I was in high school and stuff to go to all these amazing camps. So I went to like that free weekend before the camp. Every free weekend or anything for free I went to. And Jay Weiss was one of the first people. He coaches Harvard. Lonnie, who coaches for Jay Wu. They saw me at these live things. They saw me at these tournaments that were free, all this stuff. And they're like, why don't you come to my camp? And I was like, honestly, I'd love to. I can't afford it. And they're like, all right, I'll see you Monday. And like, they would do that. So I want to do that. I want to get back to those kids. So that's the big reason we have that division. And then we have customization. So Prime Athletics customization. The Kryptonite Wrestling Club out of, I believe, North Attleboro, but I think now Lakeville, if I'm not mistaken. But we have done their uniforms, so shorts, rash guards, singlets, Dedham Health and Athletics Center Tennis Academy. We've done their shirts for their last camp. Brookline Tennis Academy, their shirts. We've done shirts for charities. Pretty much any customization you can think of, we do. whether banners, decals, stickers, embroidery patches. It doesn't matter what it is. Your shirts, you're not for me, but could be. But yeah, so we have that division as well. And, we're always looking to grow, but we don't want to lose our fundamentals. And that's kind of why now that my health has gotten a little bit better and I have the love and support of my wife and my mom and my daughter, which big announcement coming October 7th that has to deal with my daughter. Leave it at that. But yeah, 15 years to me is astonishing. So we're dropping 15 different releases this year in this month alone.
Oh, wow.
So the first one was promo code 15 years, and that gave everybody from September 30th all the way until tonight, October 2nd, until 11:59 p.m. There was the website went down, it crashed because of how much people were on it, which is a really good problem, but still a problem. So I wanted to extend it until tonight, 11:59. But yeah, if you go on to primeathletics.shop and you use the promo code 15 years altogether, that's going to get you 30% off and free domestic shipping on your entire order, whether it's one thing or 20 things. Doesn't matter what you order. If the item that you choose is already on sale, because there's a bunch of things that still are on sale, that 30% of free shipping is on top of whatever you see as the sale price, which I think is really, really cool. So yeah, we're doing that. And then once midnight hits and it's October 3rd, that code will still be active for the entire month of October. It'll just be 15% off and free shipping. So, kind of a good way to get 30% now and get things for Christmas or Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or birthdays, your favorite fighter or wedding gift, whatever it is. But yeah, primeathletics.shop, we made it easy so you don't have to go into the website to find where to go, and use promo code 15 years. So that was our first release, our first drop. And tomorrow we drop another thing, which will be on all of our social medias, which everything is at Prime Athletics. So Instagram.
Is it capital?
Say again?
Is it capital? The coupon?
It's a good question. I don't think capitalization matters, but no, I set it up without capitalization. I don't know if it matters or not. I didn't try that, but nope. So 15 YEARS, non-capital altogether. But that's the promo code. It's 8:30 right now. So 9, 10, 11:30. So we're talking 3 hours and 22 minutes to still get 30% off, which is, like I said, 30% off and free shipping. And a lot of our items are very limited. And after the past 2 days, a lot of them are very, very limited. But we stand by our product, and we stand by whatever you get. So if you order something and you're not happy, honestly, reach out to me as the owner. I won't even send you off onto this person or that person. Come reach out to me. And Iggy's, I think, the first who can tell you, because she's the only one on this. But Iggy's the first that will tell you that, we under promise, over deliver. So I mean that. Come see me. I will make it right. I promise, no matter what it takes. And I think anyone that knows me knows that's the truth. But yeah, we'll be dropping new products, new collections, new discounts for other things, new items. I mean, it's new athletes that we are signing will be announced this month. I mean, I plan on taking October and really shooting the stars,
So you are signing new athletes this month, October.
Yes, ma'am.
With that, what have you seen presently with current fighters that are being managed that you wish you could change in their fight career?
Okay, so it's tough. I think there's a lot of great managers out there, so I'm not even here to throw shade. I literally hope one day I can be like Tyson, and I know that is not me throwing a jab or making a joke or kissing ass. I really do hope one day I can be as good as Tyson, because Tyson is. I remember as a brand we sponsored Tyson. You know what I mean? Like I also remember people telling me that we had a feud going on. And then he told me we had a feud going on. And it was funny that we both had to tell each other we had a feud going on because we didn't have it. When I have problems or questions, especially dealing with certain coaches, I'll reach out to Tyson because I know he's already dealt with it. And Tyson will be the first person to, no matter what he's doing, he'll be like, hey, I'm free at 11 p.m. And I'm like, cool, I'll call you then. And we'll talk on the phone and he'll give me advice. And he doesn't have to. It's not like I'm poaching his fighters and not the people who are going to choose me over him. But at the end of the day, he loves his team. He loves his fighters. And I think that's the one thing I would tell a fighter when you're choosing management, choose somebody that actually cares about your well-being. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of management firms out there. And this isn't trying to throw shade, but there's a lot of management firms out there that have 7,000 fighters. They don't care about you. They care about, all right, these 6,000 fighters is going to give me my $45 a month. That all adds up to me to then sponsor the people or manage the people that really matter. And don't be a part of a farm system. You know what I mean? Find someone that generally knows your name, knows your wife's name, knows your kids' names, knows their birthdays. Like, find someone who's willing to invest themselves in you, and vice versa. You need to trust who you hire. And if you can't do that, then clearly you're not with somebody you should be with, and that goes for me, that goes for Tyson, that goes for anybody. If you can't trust somebody where you don't believe that they have your best interest in mind, you honestly need to not be with that person. At the end of the day, I have fighters that I've managed and they had medical issues, and it doesn't matter who, but they had medical issues and they're like, well, I still want to fight. And I was like, okay, find another manager. And they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't think you should fight anymore. I don't think it's safe. And yeah, I could be one of those managers who, sure, let's get you another fight because I'll make another $600 off of you. But at the end of the day, that $600 I make is not worth whatever medical bills and whatever your family is going to go through, because I look at it, would I want someone to do that to me? So things I would change, find a manager that you can trust. Find somebody earlier on in your career. A lot of fighters wait until they're 6-0 and they're like, all right, I'm ready for management. Well, yeah, but you're also already established. Find someone that you can grow with, so that way they know your tendencies, they know your coaches, they know what's working, what isn't. And like I said, I had a fighter and I literally told him, and we don't manage him anymore. He doesn't fight anymore, but I told him, I was like, hey, just so you know, either you need new coaches or you need new management, because I can't work like this. Your coaches literally didn't show up to your fight.
Yeah.
They're not there for you. And he was like, okay. And he agreed. And he changed his entire everything. He went to a new school, new coaches. We waited a little extra time before the next fight so we could get a groove going. I showed up at practices so I could watch to make sure that the mojo was clicking, because if not, guess what? We're finding a new gym. It's not, I believe in loyalty, but it can't be blind. It has to be both ways.
Yes.
And I'm sure if my wife jumped on, which she wouldn't, she'll tell you that I'm way too loyal, way too easily to way too many people. But it's never going to change. It takes a village. If you've ever had my back, even if you've done me wrong, and you realize the grass isn't greener on the other side, as you will, or the grass is greener, but it's because it's turf and it's fake. Yeah, come back. And I'm going to open my arms up to you, because hopefully that means you learned, So that is the advice I would give. Find someone that truly loves you in whichever way it is.
Who are all your firsts?
Who are all my firsts? That's tough. Like, with Amanda watching, I don't know if I should talk about that.
Well,
no. So who are all my first? So as a brand, Lee Bean was our first fighter we sponsored. And then we had Dan Keefe, if anyone remembers Dan the Ghost Keefe. We're talking way back in the day. Robbie LaRue, Brandon Fleming, Corey Pickering. I mean, the list of regional fighters that we sponsored. But our first was Lee Bean, like I said, handpicked who I wanted. Our first fighter that we managed under Prime Elite Management, Darren Mima. Once again, I probably could have managed almost anyone because back in 2010, management really wasn't a big thing unless it was the thing. Like, unless you were in the UFC, no one regionally had managers. You had coaches and you had brothers who did what they could to help you out, you know? Not always the best thing either. But family's great. Don't let them be a part of a part of your business because it really will fog up a lot of windows, like a makeout session on your first time. Our first camp, which was 2 days long and sold out within hours, was Ben Askren. He was supposed to come the year before, and there was some issues that occurred, and we had to cancel it and reschedule it. But I had others that were interested in coming out, and I turned them all down because my first camp I wanted under Primed for Gold was Ben Askren, and that's because I'm just selfish. I believe even if I lose money during these things, the amount of money that I lose is what I'm paying to also learn from these people, whether it's as a wrestling coach when I was coaching or, and having Ben was the number one person I wanted. Funky Ben Askren is how I wrestled in high school and college. His style just clearly not as good as him. And he'll let you know that even though the as he calls it, staged photo, I do have him on his back in a photo. Whatever you want to call it, Ben, let me know. But he's who I wanted, and he's who I got. And at the time, he was an undefeated Bellator world champion. He was signing with ONE FC. He was in the Olympics. He was a national champion in Division One. I mean, he was everything that I could have dreamed of for my first camp. And once again, he worked with me. He knew I wasn't willing to bring in 200 kids so that way he could get more money. And he understood. And, that was a big part of the camps as well. And so he stayed with my wife and I in our house. We had a guest room. He stayed with me. He didn't complain. He didn't ask for these outlandish things like, well, all right, but I need, steak every night and I need, whatever. Like, he asked for a flight. He asked for a bed. He said, yeah, if it's at your house, I don't care. I brought every coach who assisted us, I was friends with, who didn't ask for a penny other than, can I come for free? They wanted to learn. I had every coach come to my house and we got Thai food because it was one of Ben's favorite foods. And I spent a lot of money on Thai food because there was a lot of people who ended up filling up. But you know what? It was awesome. He told stories about college wrestling. He told stories about the Olympics. He told stories about, his interactions with Dana White, which I'm sure can't go on record anymore since he did go to fight for the UFC. But, he told us literally conversations he had, and it was so cool. And to me, that's what it was all about. And he told those stories to the campers too, the PG ones, because we had kids who were a lot younger, because parents were like, can my son come? And I was like, yes, but I can't promise he's going to get anything out of it being 7 years old. And so Ben was like, no, we're going to hit everything from the basics on. And he did. He hit the basics, went really quick, but he did hit the basics for those 7-year-olds. So at least they got something out of it too. Like, he didn't want anyone to leave there feeling like they didn't get something. And that made me realize I chose the right person. He's also ranked, what people don't know about Ben Askren, he's ranked in Frisbee golf. Had no idea. But he also found a Frisbee golf place right near my house that I didn't know existed because I don't play. So he's like, oh, I'm at this Frisbee golf place. I was like, where's that? And he's like, 16 minutes from your house, Sean. And I was like, oh, cool. No problem. Had no idea. But yeah, so that was our first camp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And customization, we've done a million of them for a bunch of runs and stuff. So those were all our firsts.
I wanted to test it, but now when you were talking.
That was that's my 10-second clapper. I love it. It's like I'm fighting again. I'm
Mr.
just kidding.
Undefeated over here.
I'm just kidding. If you ask Kevin the ref, the ref with the hair, he's
Yes.
going to let you know that there was no clacker. All right, I beat him well before that happened. But yes, but go on. Yeah, sorry, please.
What are your top 5 favorite moments?
Top 5 favorite moments. First favorite moment was getting engaged to my wife, and during that entire engagement process, being told that I was going to get the crap beat out of me, and then going to fight. I think that was literally one of the top personal favorite moments, because I got to train with my best friend. You know what I mean? I fought on a card that had all fighters that we sponsored were on the card as well, and we went undefeated that night. So it's not even about me personally, like winning my fight that mattered to me. It was the fact that we had, including Dave and myself, we had 5 fighters on the card and everybody won. Like it was a clean sweep for Prime Athletics as a brand. And our sales were through the roof. And I didn't have to sell anything because had to go warm up, which was also the reason it's one of my top 5. It was nice not to have to sell things and just focus on me. So that was one. None of these are in any particular order, by the way, but
except for that one, getting engaged. Yeah.
Getting engaged, always. I met my marriage, my daughter. My number 2 thing, honestly, the amount. It's more broad. It's not one particular thing, but starting our management firm and having as many people as we had. And I mean, at one point we had 19 fighters. We currently have a fighter named Baki who lives in Romania. We helped him leave Turkey. We gave him whatever we could financially, helped him with whatever we could. He's always, he doesn't know us from a hole in the wall other than the fact that we stepped up when he was having issues in Turkey, and Turkey obviously is going through a tough time right now. And we helped him get to Romania. We got him to a training facility. We got him his first pro debut. And he's in Romania. You know what I mean? I've never met the kid, but he is loyal. So I think my number 2 thing is sticking with my core values and realizing that I'm not a hot shot.
Wait, is that 2 or 3?
This is number 2. It's just having everybody trust us. You know what I mean? And the amount of people who have is the second thing I can quit right now and look back on and be thankful for. Number 3, back in the day, you remember it more than I do, but back in the day, there was websites that actually did stuff, rankings and awards and all that. We won awards through multiple different websites throughout all of the Northeast, if not further. And our shorts and our rash guards all got awards, which shows that when I state our quality is top notch, I believe it. That was number 3. Number four, favorite moment. Clickers on.
That help you get on track?
Get on track. Number 4. Number 4. My daughter is 7, and she is literally. Hold on. She's in bed, I hope by now, but she literally draws things. Tries to help with designs. Like she loves this as much as I do. She loves she doesn't love fighting, by the way, at all. She thinks it's wrong. Don't hit people, Daddy. But she's been involved in my company literally since the day she's born. I have a video of her standing on the ring cage, or excuse me, on the ring at Hard Knocks in Boston, Bill Newcomb's gym. And inside the ring was John Doomsday Howard, doing some sparring. And I literally have a video of her holding the bottom row because that's as tall as she was. And she was telling Doomsday what he wasn't doing right. Could not be older than 3. And I have that video, and me and Dooms laugh about it every time because, like, at one point he came over, he's like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, straight. And so, yeah, I think that has to be on my top 5 things. It's just how much she's been involved in this company and like has gotten to meet people. And, she wears my clothes as much as I wear my clothes. And she'll tell everyone, like Canton, Massachusetts, the kindergarten through 4th grade, we've got that on lock right now. We make sure people know. So that's number 4. And number 5, top thing. I think it's the fact that we have held now 4 camps or seminars. And out of those 4, we have now given over 100 free scholarships to kids who couldn't afford it to be able to come and learn from the best. And I look forward to when I have more free time and I can really or find an executive president to help me with that part. But I want to find somebody, and I want to continue doing that because, yeah, I love the hundreds of people who have come, but I love that we've been able to give back that much to not our community, to all communities, and to kids who have such a passion for this, that we were able to say, I don't even want $10, come on. Teammates are going to be there. So are you. Let's go. No excuses. And I think sometimes, middle schoolers, high schoolers, they need to hear that. It's, listen, you'll always have an excuse. You won't always have an opportunity. And I know that's a corny saying, but to me, it's the truth, and I think that is one of my top 5 favorite things is we have given those opportunities, and we don't give them to promote them and put them on these type of podcasts, which thank you for, your exposure and helping us grow, but it's just doing it, being able to do it. That's to me what is the best part. So here's my top 5. And anyone who's listening, if you can just tell me what those were again, because I can't remember, that would be great. I'm rambling a lot here, Iggy. I'm rambling a lot.
With your rambling,
yes.
What can we expect in the next 15 years?
In the next 15 years, I will be jet setting, limousine cruising, the whole Ric Flair speech. No, I'm just kidding. I will be me in 15 more years, as long as God keeps me on this earth, because 55, 15 more years, I'm going to be who I am today. And my goal is that Prime will still exist, in one matter or another. And we have outlived. It's funny. David Say reached out to me once. He read something that I posted, and I think he wanted to make sure I was okay, but I didn't post it for me. I posted because of someone I knew, and, mental health is a serious issue. And he reached out to me, which is funny because, we're cordial, but we didn't really know each other other than he owned one brand. I owned another brand. And he goes, hey, you should never think like that. Think about all the brands that were out there. Need to bleed. And he goes, even my own company, you're the only one still there. Boston Brawl is gone. You're here. He goes, you should really hold yourself to a level where you understand that you've made it where so many people could not. And there's a reason for that. And I was like, shit, man, thank you. Like, once again, I apologize. I don't want to swear on this in case kids do watch it, but I'm like, thank you. Like, I wasn't expecting that, and now him and I talk frequently because it meant a lot to me that he reached out thinking I was having, some issues, and he wanted to encourage me and let me know that I've done something that others couldn't. So I want to make sure in the next 15 years that I am also doing that. I want to make sure that, if you have $1 or you have $500, if you need a pair of shorts, you can have a pair of shorts. That's why I love giving discounts as much as my wife's like, you keep discounting things. You might as well just change the price. And I was like, true. But then people want a discount on that, you can't win, I'll buy an $180 Patagonia sweater, but I can't afford a $12 t-shirt without haggling, but I also haggle, so I can't argue. But I have my "Who Shot Me" shirt, and I think it's the only T-shirt I bought that isn't Prime Athletics. For those who don't know, that is Igdalia's shirt. Iggy came out with that shirt in order to help others I'm sure she can expand on that when the clacker is not coming.
Oh,
But thank you. Time's on that. This has been so much fun. I've really never done interviews. But yeah.
you're natural. What do you mean?
Oh yeah, I like background a little bit more.
Yeah, I
Not
hear
to be
you.
that person, but who knows? If I can stop rambling, maybe I'll jump on and co-host some stuff with you. It'd be so much fun. um, but yeah, so in 15 years, your question is, where do I see us? I see us exactly where we are today. Hopefully with more money and a larger premise, but we have sold product around the globe. And I don't say that as a brag. I say that as, that to me is a bucket list item for a company to say, regionally, we are really known. Non-regionally, but in the Northeast, we're really known. In the North now, we're really known. In the US, we're really known. In Mexico, but we have sold things to people in Japan, we've sold products to Paris, which I love. I love that. That we have an audience that spans even my wildest imaginations, and I want that to grow. And I want my daughter to be more involved if that's what she wants, and if not, I want her to just wear my stuff so others can see it. But yeah, I want to be doing this, I want to be giving back. I want to make sure our brand and our online presence, which I've never focused on because once again, all of our sales are because we went to Cage Titans, and Mike Polvere has always supported us. I take back one of my 5 moments of pure joy.
No, you can add a bonus, but you can't take away.
I don't know which one I could take away because I don't remember them anymore,
Exactly.
but I got to add because of Mike Polvere, because of Cage Titans. And I've thanked him personally. I've thanked him online, but I want to just say it on here. If it wasn't for him, Prime Athletics is in the movie Here Comes the Boom. It's Kevin James, Henry Winkler, the Fonz, Boss Rutan, Mark Delagrati, whether it be celebrity or fighter. I mean, everybody is in there. It was a local film, and the production company wanted real brands, but they wanted local people as well. And Mike Polvere mentioned Prime Athletics because we sponsored their events. We were in their cage. And because of him, they reached out to us. And I was like, all right, sure. How much is this going to cost me? Because usually to be in films, you pay like Pepsi, label out. And they're like, no, we need you to provide this stuff, but we don't want you to pay for anything. And I was like, okay, cool. And we were in that movie in probably like 12, 13 different scenes, in the ring, in the cage. Mentioned they did cut out my scene. That bothers me a little bit, but that's okay. I thought that was going to be my big break. People would see me and that's it. Hollywood, here I come.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm adding that because the fact that I was in our brand's logo is in a Hollywood movie and in a video game are 2 of the coolest things ever. EA Sports MMA video game. I don't know if you remember it. It came out. It wasn't a big hit, but it was pretty much the UFC had a video game. And
I remember.
And then EA Sports came out with a video game called EA Sports MMA. So it's basically Bellator Rising. All the people who are not in the UFC were in this video game. Lyle Bearbrum, who at the time was in Strike Force, we sponsored him. And that's how we got into the video game. They reached out to us. So our logo is in the video game. In the audience, someone's holding a sign with our logo on it.
You weren't holding the sign?
No, I did not get my face permitted. Yeah, I know. I look at this and I wonder too. But yeah, no, it was just whatever animated character that they didn't have to pay. But it was so cool. My younger brother bought me the video game when it came out. So it's just so cool. And we played the game and it took forever, but finally, as it's panning the audience, you see Prime Athletics being held up by fans.
So you really have to level up to see it.
You got to level up. You got to play the game. You got to.
What? Okay, so it wasn't no rinky dinky first 2 seconds.
but then it was after you saw it. Now I always saw it. But like, you know how people always hit the button? Like no one wants to see the walkout.
Yeah.
If you own EA Sports MMA video game on PlayStation, I believe, and whatever other machine was out at that time, let the people walk out. Okay, enjoy the moment because there is a very high probability you will
There's
see.
a prime moment there.
There is a prime moment that you will see it. Yes, I like what you did right there with that. Yeah, those are really cool moments, though, that not a lot of people get to say they got. And because of Strikeforce and Lyle Bearbrom and his manager at the time, I got in the video game because of Michael Pulver and Cage Titans, a regional brand who has now sent people to the UFC. You know, I got into a movie. People at CES, you know, I got to meet all these amazing people because of the platforms that they're on. I can't say thank you enough to all of them. You know, NEF, list goes on forever. AFO back in the day, CFX back in the day, Combat Zone always, but Cage Titans, of course. And I'll always have love for Mike Pulver and Cage Titans for all that they've done for us. And I'm sure you've noticed we haven't sponsored them in a long time, and it has nothing to do with them. It's, you know, being one person, my focus literally has to continuously shift. So it's brand, management, camps. Like that's my hope. In 15 years, that my focus can stay like this, and I can have people taking over in different areas and helping out. But yeah, no, I want to stay worldwide.
Awesome. Any words to conclude with this interview?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Gonna leave it short. I'm gonna leave it sweet. I promise that, but we both know I'm a liar when it comes to that. Yeah, how I want to leave this. First and foremost, thank you. And I know you don't do this for a thank you, but I've watched every single one of the podcasts that you have done, and I've seen you. Honestly, it's weird to say because, you know, to me, you're here and I'm here, but I've seen you grow in so many different ways, Iggy, and I couldn't be more proud to say that I know you and that we're friends. I remember literally the first lion fight that you photographed for, and you and I took a photo in the ring just to remember that moment because it was like, holy crap, we're both here. And like, you know, it's thank you. Because I know you keep leveling up, as you like to call it, and that only gives more outlets for more people. Yeah. And yes, I will be begging you to have people on this as I start announcing people I'm managing again. And Darren leading up to his fight in November and JoJo's fight in October. Yes, I will be Iggy. When are we free? Because they're coming on. So yeah, I want to say thank you to you more than anything, and I want to say thank you to others, you know, and they know who they are. But you know, Steve Domenico, love him or hate him, like I'm indifferent. I'm just kidding, Steve, if you watch this, but like, you know, his platform.
Steve is Steve. Like
Steve will always
who he is. There's nothing wrong with it.
Listen, I've loved Steve since I met Steve. So you know, and I remember interviewing him while he was interviewing me, and I was like, listen, I know not a lot of people like you, but this man right here is the reason you got to see the prelims of Lion fight because no one else showed up. You know what I mean? Like,
I
remember.
And then
of course, we got off air, and he's like, what do you mean people hate me? I was like, I'm just saying. But I personally love Steve because, once again, he gives people and athletes and brands like myself, he gives platforms. You know, Jason Floyd's another person who does it. There's some Sean Wheelock who I've met. Like you guys give these platforms, and I speak when I say you guys, I don't mean it in any gender or sexual nature. I mean it in you people. That doesn't come off right either. So professionals give my fighters the opportunity to grow. And, you and I have talked about some options that I want to readdress again with media training and stuff because I think they need it. But fighters, for those who don't know, do not know how to talk to a camera, do not know how to give an interview. They'll be like me, who at a minute 10 barely has said any real stuff. I've just continuously talked because I'm not trained and I'm doing everything I tell them not to do. Except this time,
you're showing them by example, right?
Do not do this. Keep it short.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be longer than 20 minutes, guys. Which I'm shocked. My wife, my beautiful, intelligent, caring, supportive wife, I'm shocked she hasn't. Hold on, let me check. No, I'm glad she has not texted me to tell me, like, dude, what is wrong? Wrap this up. Keep it short and to the point. But I'm taking this as just a fun moment because I do really appreciate you, Iggy, and I always have, and you know that. And Kelly McDonald, you know what I mean, who used to take photos, and I love Kelly, and I support her and her husband's new company, John's company, Working Man Distilleries. I go whenever I can. I buy a bottle all the time. I finally got a decanter for Christmas that I wanted. If I was on my phone, I would bring it over to show, but sent her a picture. But that is what I just got the text now. Wrap it up.
Because she knows, she's like, all right, come on.
She jumped in. She's like, are you still talking? But yeah, I love my wife so much, forever and ever in my heart. Only because I know she's watching right now as I get the text. But yeah, so things to leave off with. Thank you to you. Thank you to everybody who gives a voice, especially to the younger athletes who just wouldn't have one. And let's be honest, most interviews, and this is not pointed to anyone because I've already acknowledged for all those out there, I am terrible at this interview and I will get better. But interviewing is hard. And football was on, I just saw. So, yes.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. Well, I mean, it's Kansas City, which means Taylor Swift, you know. She's really bringing light to this NFL or whatever it's called. So, very excited about everything she's doing for this sport.
All right, we got to focus.
Sorry, I can't do that. But yeah, I want to say thank you to you. I want to say and you know, for those who don't know, I've literally known Iggy for so many years, and it's always been awesome. Like literally, when I bring up your name, or if I don't bring up your name, my wife's like, "Oh, Iggy." I was like, Iggy will be there. She'll take care of me. Don't worry. And she's like, "All right, at least you have some woman looking out for you." If I can't go to the fights, you know, like. I truly, I love our friendship, and I love that it always grows, you know. And, I love the customization we do. We just did belly pads for Team United, Tom Evans' team. They are top of the line. I'm sure he will sell you that if he ever gets on social media to make me look good. But they came out awesome. And we can do that for your gym too. Investors, maybe you. Prestige Worldwide. I want to say thank you to my family, not just my mother and daughter, not just my wife and daughter, but my mother, and my family that's not blood, my family that is blood, for always supporting me. You know, they say, you know, support the person coming up. Don't support the person you don't know. And I am blessed. You know what I mean? I don't get a lot of text messages saying like, "Oh, I love that shirt. Can I have one?" I usually get a lot of messages like, "I love that shirt. Have you sent it to me yet? I placed the order a week ago." And I'm like, "Oh, no, I haven't." So thank you to everyone who supports us, our brand, our management, for everyone who believes in us, who have stood by us, who are about to stand by us, and who at this point, it's 9:15, so 10, 11, who have 2 hours and 45 minutes to save 30% and get free domestic shipping on any of your orders, including our amazing recovery gear that's out there now, which is patent pending, by the way. And amazing. I'm sure I will go live to show all the details of it, because as of tomorrow, it's still going to be 15% and free domestic shipping all the way through the month of October, which is also National Hispanic Month, Appreciation Month. Thank you. To nobody who told me that, I just thought of it. I swear it didn't come across here. It was National Hispanic Appreciation Month, and my family, my wife, my daughter, my in-laws, some of my best friends, they're Hispanic. So Jojo Gonzalez, who we just signed, is a Puerto Rican. I stand by it, and I say that because 15% is for everybody. No matter what race, nationality, whatever cultures. I think I'm losing it.
Thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate your time, your knowledge, your commitment, your loyalty, and your passion for the sport, for your friends, for your family, for being that voice, for being that ear, because you are more than just a business. You are a person that they can turn to, not only for their fight career, but on a personal level, because it's not just that. Everybody sees just the career aspect, but they don't see what it takes to get there. There is the mental aspect of it, the mindset, and you allow them and you guide them in the right path, whether you're just sitting there and listening, or you're telling them and mentioning, well, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that, regardless of how it's going to affect you.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And I also want to say thank you to Jeff, Northeast Financial Strategies. NFSnet.com is his website, but he's our CFO. He was the first person to really back us hard. Impact Mouthguards is our partner. They sponsor all of the fighters we manage as well. Their guards are amazing. Aquabag out of New York, another company that sponsors any fighter that we manage, and they all get the bags, which is pretty cool. I know I have one, and I love it whenever I need to get aggression out. But it really is phenomenal, the work that they put in and the stuff they have. And I'm sure there's others, but as of right now, that's all I'm going to say. But thanks. I really appreciate it, and this is so much fun. And for all of you who are watching, I doubt it because it's been an hour 17. But thank you for staying on. I feel like I should give you something if you are still on right now. Comment, and I can, send you out a free gift because it's been forever. And squirrel. So with that said, I'm gonna let Iggy go, and I'm sure she'll crop this down into a nice 25-minute highlight of and what I do. So, but if anyone needs me, Sean Rockwell at primeathletics.com is my email address. Whether it's for customization for your gym, from gloves to belly pads, literally anything you can think, shorts, custom shorts for your gym. As a fighter, if you want custom products, we do that as well. If you want to order a product from Prime Athletics or .shop, and then you want to have that customized with your gym logo on there, your name on there, anything you want to say, "Will you marry me, Mary?" on there, and that's how you announce in the middle of your fight because it's across your fight shorts. We can do all of that. So I just want to put that out there. But I'm done talking. I'm gonna go watch Taylor Swift and the Kansas City Chiefs battle it out in New York against the Jets. I believe they're playing. And we'll leave it at that. But
thank you so much, Sean.
And we'll catch everyone on the flip side. So have a good one, and thank you all. Much love.